Welcome back, guys. Today we got a very special treat, and this very special treat is going to retire my Super Taurus throttle. Today we're looking at the PAC32 and Ursa Minor 32 throttle from Winwing. This is the Airbus throttle, and this unit alone, just want to say right off the bat, it's got some weight to it. It's designed for desktop use. It's got the rubber feet on here. I still have not found a perfect way to mount it in the sim rig. I have a temporary solution, which we'll show in a moment, but today we want to go over some key points. And then we're also going to show you guys how to properly calibrate the throttle's axes and the spoilers and flaps axes in the SimApp Pro. I've seen a lot of people having issues with that in the different forums and Facebook groups and stuff like that. So we'll go over that. We'll also show how to calibrate them within the Phoenix airplane as well. So directly in the McDo. First thing that I want to go over, on the front of this, we have these two dials. These dials are dampeners. I've seen some people in videos say that it is a dial to increase or decrease the strength of the detents. That's not the case. It is the dampening of the throttle itself. So how much force it requires to move the axes along. Something that I want to point out with that, the stronger you have the dampening, the less the detents actually the less satisfying they feel going into the detents. I'm not sure why it does that. I've found a little bit of a happy balance with it for myself. If you have them absolutely backed off all the way and loose, the detents feel the strongest for, so like the climb, max continuous thrust, flex, and then toga. So it's about finding the balance that you like with that. Everybody's gonna have their own. The next thing we're going to cover here is the engine master switches. I love what they did with this, and a lot of the lower cost hardware, you don't see this, but they are a lift and then a move toggle switch. So without lifting it, I can't disengage it inadvertently, just like in the real aircraft. And I love how they did that. And it's a nice metal switch, so you're not going to run into the issues of it pulling off or breaking. And they got a metal pin that goes all the way through on both sides of the switch caps, so you're not going to pull that off. The engine 1, engine 2 little placards, they include stickers, so you have engine 1, engine 2, and then they also have stickers for engine 3 and 4 if you want to get 2 of these and run them for, say, like 3 engines or more, 4 engines or more. The engine crank switch, it's a little small, smaller than I would think that it would be, but it works. It also has a push button, so you can assign that to something if you wanted to, but you got your crank mode, your normal mode, and then ignition start mode. And then on here as well, we have, and I'll show these lit up once we go back up to the sim, these are the engine fire, engine fault annunciators. The fire is red, fault is yellow, but they are also a push button, so you have some extra function if you need it. Next is the rudder trim. You have a display that will light up as well. We have a reset button. This takes some force to push down. It's a pretty heavy duty spring inside there before it activates the button. You can kind of feel when it pushes into the button, but just push all the way until it's a metal spring, so you're not going to break it or anything. You just push it all the way down when you need to reset it. The rudder trim is spring loaded, so you got your nose left and nose right for your yaw control. The spoilers, I love how they did this and they incorporated it quite well. Pull up to arm, can't move it when it's armed. Push it back down to disarm it. You also cannot move it. You have to push down and then you can start extending the spoilers. It's got a nice solid detent at the half mark, and then you got the full mark. The quarter or 3/4, there's no detent. There is not on the real plane either. and then you pop it back into the retracted and it locks kind of back in place. I don't know if you can kind of see that or not. The mechanism inside there, it's a metal rod, metal guide that is coming out the side of it. So you have to push it down quite far before you get into that groove. But otherwise it's a nice solid feel and it feels pretty good. You have a little screw inside there for the spoilers and for the flaps. So you can increase or decrease the dampening of those as well. I increase them a little bit, but otherwise how they come from the factory will be good enough as well. The flaps is same thing. Like I said, it's got a little screw down in there. You put the Allen key in there and you can tighten or loosen the dampening feel. The flaps, you have the lever on the bottom, just like in the real plane. You lift it up to move it, and then you get to the first detent, just like in the real plane, it locks in place. And then you just drop it down, then you have to lift it again to go to the next one. You can skip flaps 2 and go right to 3. And then same thing for full. You can kind of see how it locks in place. It doesn't move. From full to 3, you gotta let go to get it into the detent and then back up again. You can lock it into 2, or you can skip 2 and go to 1 and then back to 0. You can hold this at a certain point and just kind of skip along through it without lifting the thing. I wouldn't really do that too much. I mean, it is metal. Metal can still wear over time, but not as much as plastic. This is something that I cannot stress enough when it comes to the park and brake lever. I like how they did that. You got to pull it up and turn it, and then it kind of locks in place. You can't unturn it. And then same thing, once you get past a certain point, it'll kind of snap in place. What I wish they did was made this lever all metal as well as the internals. That should not have that much movement. I mean, even when I'm not pulling up on it, it moves quite a lot, like laterally and horizontally. And if you pull up too hard, I could see that breaking. It does not feel metal at all on the contacts or the mechanics of it. It kind of feels like plastic. And if you pull up too hard, you could possibly just pull that whole thing right off. So when you go to operate this, I highly recommend just use your fingers to kind of like lift up a little bit and then turn it and let it snap in place. You don't need to pull it very far. It does not have a lot of travel. And like I said, I could see that being a failure point and a lot of tickets being created or people complaining about it breaking. I'm just gonna say right now, don't pull hard, don't pull far. You don't need to pull much. Like I'm just only gonna lift it just a little bit and I can already turn it. You don't need to pull it all the way up. In the real plane, it's metal all the way through and through, and it's got a little bit more travel than what this does. The housing and everything is all plastic. The internals of that is plastic. So plastic is plastic. You know, if you're rough on it, you're gonna break it. On the back side, we have a SATA cable that goes from the throttle unit and connects to the PAC unit for the spoilers and all that stuff. Just like with the back of the FCU they did to connect the EVISes to the actual FCU. The modules themselves for the flaps or spoilers is just a little cable. You can just press the little tab on there and you can unplug it, plug it back in. The only reason you'll need to really do that is if you want to kind of route the cables differently or if you want to use these. If you have an actual pedestal, they include panel pieces so that you can put them in, and we'll show what that looks like here in a moment. But if you're going to put it in an actual pedestal, you have the ability to do so and kind of space everything out to where it really goes. So this is what they look like once they're in. This is just a plastic panel. The speed brake itself, that's not backlit or anything. It just kind of sits in there. If you want to put them in like that, they do have a way to secure them into it. The screws that they include for mounting it to the side of the throttle itself, you just put them still in place. They'll stick out a little bit, so you want to make sure they don't, and you got plenty of space here. And then it's just a matter of you run the cable through the top and then push it into place. I mean, the screws might stop you, but then it just sits in place like that. And the way that I was doing it, the little square nuts that they include with it, you can just use those to secure it to it. There's not much room. You don't need to put them too tight. And then it'll keep it in place. Just put it on there. And just go just barely tight enough. And those will help kind of keep that module in place with the panel. The cable, I've seen a lot of people having issues with it. It's not long enough if you assemble it into an actual pedestal. I think this was a little bit of an oversight for them. But you might be able to get some longer ones somewhere. I don't know if anybody's found any source for that or not, or what if Winwing has a plan for that. We'll find out in the future. If any of you that are watching know of a way to get cables like these with specific connectors, then by all means, post a comment, let me know, and that way other people can see it as well. So when you get this, it'll come in two packages. One package will be the throttle itself. The other package will be the PAC unit, or with the spoilers, rudder, parking brake, and flaps. It'll come pre-assembled like this, so you don't have much to do. It's pretty simple to assemble it. The black pieces just go right in these little grooves here. The screws they include, they stick out. So I ended up having to use two little random screws that I found somewhere just to get it flush with the bottom. So if you can find something that'll work with that, great. If not, if it doesn't bother you, then you can just have the ones that are sticking out. But if you're going to mount it to a desk, they do stick out quite a bit. If I can get this to slot back in. And then once they slot in, just make sure it's all the way up. And then take your Allen key and then just tighten them down. Once those are in, take the SATA cable right into the bottom one on that for the 90, and then this one just goes right into on the PAC unit. And that one clicks into place, and it's got a nice little groove. And then that's the whole thing assembled. All right, so now we're going to cover the calibration. So as we can see in the sim right now, we have the calibration is already set. And for the mode, we're on mode 1. These basically change how the throttle actually acts. So right now it is a full axis from full reverse to toga. So mode 2 does RX, RY as part of its own axes here. But if we look in the sim what that's doing with it already calibrated, it's basically going full. So it's just a mirror of the other one, just, you know, shorter throw or whatever. Whereas up here we have, like, so right there would be in sim is idle, but on the throttle itself, and as you can see in here, it's not all the way off. And then this would be separating the reverse axes. So right now that'll do nothing because I don't have anything bound to those, to the X or Y axes on this throttle. But we're going to use mode 1, and it's what I have working. It works pretty good for the Phoenix. It's what you want to have anyways. So we're going to go and purposely mess up our calibration. So there's 6 different calibration points you have to do. We're just going to purposely mess them all up. There's 5th, and there's the 6th. So if we go back to test, we can see my right throttle's not even working at all because I severely messed it up. The left one still is. It's still calibrated, which I don't know why, because I basically calibrated it all in one detent. So we're going to go back to the calibration. So RY is what we need to fix. So to calibrate the RY axes for the first time, please push the RY joystick to the max reverse position, then click Start Calibration. So we're going to go max reverse. Now this is important. Just click Start Calibration and then Finish Calibration. Do not move the actual throttle. And you'll notice the wording has changed for the second time. Now it wants reverse idle position. This is basically going through each detent is where you're calibrating. So again, we'll start, don't touch it, and complete. Now it wants to the idle position. So we'll go into idle. We'll start, complete. Now it wants climb position. So there's climb, we'll start and complete. Now it wants flex max continuous thrust position, start and complete. And then it wants, for the last one, toga. So we'll start and complete. And now, as we saw, it just jumped. And now we go back to this page. There's reverse idle, there's max reverse, go back to idle, we'll go to climb, and max continuous or flex, and toga. And you can see up on the graph as well that they're perfectly in sync. Now, just because I was messing with it, we're going to redo our RX. So throttle 1. So we're just going to start, complete, reverse idle, right to the detent, start, complete, idle, climb, flex, toga. Now we go back to this page, we'll see it all still works pretty good. All right, so to calibrate in the Phoenix, once we've done the throttle calibration in SimApp Pro, we are going to go to the McDo, and we'll go to menu, and then we're going to go to config, and then controls config. And this brings us right here. So we're going to clear our calibration. If you already have something there, you definitely want to clear that out, because if you had another throttle that you were using this on, you don't want that throttle's calibration to be being used with the new throttles. So we're going to start and click calibrate. It's going to tell us move thrust levers to max reverse. So we do that, max reverse, and then click next step. It wants idle reverse. Both of them are in. Next step. It wants idle, and you'll notice this is kind of following the same theme of calibrating within SimApp Pro. So we're going to get them to idle. Next step. Then it wants climb detent on both. Click next. Flex max continuous takeoff. Get them into the detent, click next, and then toga in the detent on both, and we'll click next. And just like that, it's done, and click store calibration. You can also, in through here, you can calibrate your flaps. So if your flaps, if you have them assigned to the axes of the lever, then you can use this as well to calibrate them. And basically all it is it'll go set flaps to up, they're up, click next, flaps to 1, click next, flaps to 2, again, it's following the same general principle, 3, and then full, and then done. And then you can store calibration. So if we look here, we've got full flaps, we're going to go to 4, or 3, and then we're going to go to 2, 1, and 0. My spoilers is already pretty spot on. That's the detent in the middle. That's full. And retracted. And then those work. Just to show this too, I can press and hold this left and right, and it goes left and right. So if we go all the way back to the right, we'll see that changed from left to right. Now we're 2.4 degrees right, and we can just hit the reset it and it goes. And then just park and brake on. Now in the Phoenix, the defaults are the fire detect and fault detect. Those aren't push buttons, so you can assign these to whatever extra function you want to assign them to. For the full Ursa Minor 32 throttle with the 32 PAC, which is again the flaps, spoilers, rudder control, and park and brake. And then there's a Minor 32 is the throttle metal. For the full unit to the US, it's $267.52 plus shipping, tax, and any tariffs that you'd have to pay. It's available for pre-order right now for the US. You know, it just released, so it's not going to be available immediate shipping. So for the US, there would be no shipping costs and no tariffs. If you order from the global site, I do believe you'd be able to get it pretty quickly. Nope, it's pre-order from the global even now too. From there though, you are going to pay a shipping cost, you are going to pay a tariff, but it's $242.98 from the global, whereas the United States was $267. You can also order each one individually if you want to. The Ursa Minor 32, just the throttle is $145.10, and then the flight controls panels are $122. It's going to be a wait. Be patient, please. As usual, they underestimate how much they actually need to have in stock before they order. And if you do pre-order, it's not going to charge you until your order is ready to ship. So you can get a pre-order in and you don't have to pay until it's ready to ship, and then it's a week to 2 weeks depending on where you are before you would receive it. If you guys like the video, go ahead and hit that like and please subscribe. It helps the algorithm know who to recommend these videos or these types of videos out to. Until next time, for the next Winwing product, or maybe if we get one, there might be a overhead panel review that we might be coming out with next. Until then, we'll catch you guys on the next one, and remember, aviate, navigate, communicate.